Today we're going to look at the MVP of WWE. This is a monthly series in which I look at the previous month, April 1st to April 30th, and we qualify who was the most valuable player in WWE for that time frame only. So nothing from Elimination Chamber and nothing from last week's Smackdown because that fell in May. We're only looking at April, but April had WrestleMania 41, so we got a lot to choose from. This was a very difficult MVP episode because, like, for real, like almost every category, it's like neck and neck. We're going to start off with the men's mid-card division.
We got any dogs barking in Austin? Hit my music.
It was a toss-up between Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. Braun Breaker lost his title, but that doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't qualify because Braun Breaker did some amazing things. One, that spear to Carlito.
And I'll come get you. Oh, goodness. And I'll come get you.
About broke him in half and went viral and was crazy and amazing. Then he goes to WrestleMania, and yes, he does lose, but he doesn't take the pin, thus elevating Dominic Mysterio to the next level with his career, and that's an important part of being an MVP, not just elevating yourself, but elevating others. And then, the night after WrestleMania, he goes on to join Seth freaking Rollins in a main event faction. So, like, I wouldn't say Braun Breaker is necessarily a main event player yet, but he's definitely taken huge strides to doing so. So the month of April was just a great banger month for Braun Breaker, and he's like neck and neck with Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu, on the other hand, won this U.S. title, and you can also win this U.S. title. We're going to talk more about Jacob in a second, but this U.S. title right here can be yours. All you got to do to win is comment below. You got to subscribe to the channel also and hit that bell, ding, notification. Then, maybe a thumbs up. I'd appreciate the thumbs up. Helps the engagement, helps the channel a lot. I'm trying to quit the day job, so I give away a belt every 10,000 subscribers. No joke. Any belt you've seen me put over my shoulder, the winner gets to pick which belt he or she wants. I'll ship it anywhere in the world. Already shipped one to Australia and one to somewhere in Illinois. So, like, wherever. Free of charge, free everything. Want to quit the day job. Gotta quit the day job. Boss found out about this channel. Not happy. But that's okay. So I'm following the dream just like Jacob Fatu followed his dream to the U.S. title. And that is why that Jacob is in contention, because throughout the entire month of April, Jacob Fatu just steadily rose till he was the top dog of the Smackdown men's division. Closed out a banger feud with Braun Strowman.
I don't know if I could
to become the #1 contender to LA Knight championship, the U.S. title at WrestleMania. He goes on to win the U.S. title at WrestleMania in a very low-key, really good match. And then after WrestleMania, he's taking on all challengers. He's a strong, fearless heel, and he's looking good. He is looking good. I don't know which one to really give this title to, the MVP title, because even though Braun Breaker lost, he made huge strides after losing and put himself in that main event spot, but Jacob Fatu is making the U.S. title scene just like must-see TV, and both of their presence and everything, just whatever they do, whatever they touch, whenever they talk, it's like you listen, you watch, you wait for them to move. And I don't know, like, oh man, it's a tough one. This is the toughest one right now, but the women's mid-card is also difficult. And, oh man, and the women's main event scene. I'm going to do something I've never done for a MVP. Because honestly, This is as close as it has ever gotten for a tie. Who should the main event, the mid-card MVP is? I'm going to flip a coin because I cannot decide. So please comment below who you feel should be the MVP between Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. I'm going to flip a coin. Heads, it's Jacob. Tails, it's Braun Breaker. And it's heads, Jacob Fatu.
Well, let's keep it 100. I ain't even scratched the surface yet.
Is your April MVP for the male mid-card division. Now we go to the female mid-card division.
Everyone's out to get me. Everyone, they're just jealous. Shut up.
And this one's actually very tough as well. I believe we got Naomi and Chelsea Green. These are your two options, I think. Lyra has made some good strides with her feud with Becky now for maybe to be in contender, but I don't think her feud has gone far enough to really outshine Chelsea or Naomi. So maybe next month, maybe the month of May, we can bring up Lyra again. But right now, it's between Chelsea and Naomi. Both of these two women have done awesome character work. They're consistently just living their character. Whether the cameras are rolling or not on social media, when the camera's panned to someone else, they're engaging in the crowd. Just watch how they act when like you're supposed to be looking at someone else. If you're supposed to be looking at the opponent, whether it's Jade or Zelina, take a look at Naomi, take a look at Chelsea, and they're still in character. They're doing great, amazing work. In fact, they're kind of like two of the only characters on WWE in that they have a gimmick. Usually, I said this in Hot Takes yesterday, it seems like a lot of the people in WWE are just a ramped up version of themselves. Braun Breaker isn't really a gimmick, it's just a really intense dude, a really intense alpha male. But Naomi is definitely this unhinged, like, lunatic, and Chelsea is like the president of the United States in her own mind. So, like, both of them just, like, I don't know, they demand the spotlight. Now, the reason I think I'm gonna give it to Chelsea did lose the title, but I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing, because the moment she lost the title, she just kind of made it part of her whole overall character. Now she's like mourning the loss of the title and everything.
Last week was rigged, hijacked by the deep state of jealous women in the locker room.
Plus, it did help Zelina get over. So that's, like, her losing the title is not a big deal in regards to her being the MVP. But Naomi lost at WrestleMania, but again, her loss at WrestleMania did not affect her. In fact, it helped put over Jade Cargill and yet kept Naomi strong because of how good she is performing. Same with Chelsea. So again, this is a hard one. Should I flip the coin? No, I'm not going to, because Naomi wins by just an inch.
Her body just drapes to the floor.
Naomi is going to win by just an inch, and the only reason why is because Naomi and Chelsea, they're performing at, I believe, an equal level right now. And Naomi had a match at WrestleMania. Literally, that's the only reason. Because Naomi had a match at WrestleMania, that's why she gets it. If Chelsea would have had a match at WrestleMania, I would have flipped the coin. So that's pretty much it. And it's not the fact that the match at WrestleMania means you're an MVP. It's just that was the tie-breaking decision right there. That the fact that she did have a match. Let's go to the tag teams.
Your winners, the New Day. Get away to be your winners. Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, and Tess is climbing the ladder from the inside out. He's struggling with it, but gets it!
Now, this might sound a little hypocritical based on the fact that I put Naomi as the MVP because she had a WrestleMania match, and I'm actually going to give this MVP spot to the Street Profits. The Street Profits did not have a WrestleMania match, and yet Liv Morgan and Raquel did, and so did the New Day. Those, like, if you want to argue, well, they had a WrestleMania match, therefore, again, remember what I said, though. It wasn't the fact that Naomi had a WrestleMania match. That was just the tiebreaker. That fact was the tiebreaker. So, why not the New Day? Why not Liv Morgan and Raquel as the MVP tag team? By the way, I also, when it comes to the tag team division, it's anybody. Anybody can win it, whether you're men or women. I put the MVP for the tag team division, it's all lumped together. So why the Street Profits? They did not have a WrestleMania match. Their match was after, but still in the month of April. And the reason is this: because the Street Profits, A, they won, B, it was an amazing match, absolutely amazing. Anybody that sees it could tell you that it was crazy awesome. And much props to the Motor City Machine Guns, and much props to DIY. It takes, the Street Profits, they needed great dance partners to put on that kind of match, but I'm telling you, that match was an all-timer. There was a moment where Montez Ford takes someone gives him his prosthetic leg, and he uses it as a weapon. What? That kind of just like on the spot thinking is insane. Angelo Dawkins recreates the Edge to Jeff Hardy spear on off a ladder onto as someone's holding onto the belt. It was amazing. It was awesome. And the kicker here, though, is there was also storyline. There was a reason why these three teams were in a ladder match, a TLC match. When you go back to the Liv Morgan and Raquel title match at WrestleMania, and it doesn't matter if they won or lost, it doesn't matter. There was no real reason. There was no real reason for them to have that match. There was no story. Yeah, they said, okay, we'll have a gauntlet match, and they tried to get something going, but nah, not really. And then even that was part of a larger storyline of Becky attacking Bayley. So, the tag team match was secondary to Becky turning on Lyra the next night on Raw when Liv and Raquel won it back. Therefore, there was no storyline there to make you the MVP. Now let's look at the New Day. New Day win, right? They win a record. What is this, their 11th title? I can't remember if it's their 11th, 12th, or 13th, but it's a record-breaking title reign. And the thing about it is, though, not much of a storyline with the Viking Raiders. Yes, it was at WrestleMania, but there was no storyline. If you go back to the Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns, this is a storyline that kind of goes way, way, way back. Plus, there's a lot of interest in the tag team division on SmackDown. I gotta give it to the Street Profits. I would love to give it to the New Day, but unfortunately, there was no real meaty storyline with the War Raiders. My apologies, War Raiders. So, Street Profits are your MVP tag team champions. Now we'll go to the women's main event scene. Another difficult one.
Io repaying the favor on her way to a Charlotte Flair-like career in WWE.
Another difficult one. This one is between Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton. I know that it's the internet, so most people watching this are probably gonna be like, it needs to be Io. I love Io. Io's the best, right? I know, it's the internet. The internet crowd loves Io, and she deserves to be loved. She has done great work. At WrestleMania, she probably put on the best match of the night with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So, she puts on the best match. The problem is this: she was an afterthought in her own feud because she had the title. It was more about Bianca and Rhea, and the story they told was that Io was going to sneak in and get the victory because she was being overlooked. And while, okay, that was the story they wanted to tell, but it didn't make her necessarily look strong. I will say this, though: after WrestleMania, she has come across like a boss in that she's fighting a bunch of the NXT people, really showcasing her abilities. For real, Io Sky, I feel, is looking better outside of WrestleMania than going into WrestleMania. But what about Tiffany? Tiffany, on the other hand, I feel she did kind of lose the crowd. And her going up against Charlotte, that was like, it was make or break. And it might not even have been make. It was like Tiffany had everything to lose here, and Charlotte was not going easy on her going into WrestleMania. Like the first week of April, that's when they had that car crash of a segment where Tiffany's like, "You're gonna die alone," and Charlotte's like, "Beep beep 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 beep," making fun of her voice and everything. And it was bad. It was really bad, and yet it was also captivating. It was like a car crash that you didn't want to look away from, and yet it was Tiffany standing up for herself. And then they keep at it, and Tiffany, actually, she kept getting more and more confident as the feud went on. It was almost like in the beginning of the feud, Charlotte just ripped into her and she lost everything. For like a week or two, she had lost all confidence, but that stuff had happened in March. In April, it was like the Phoenix reborn of Tiffany, where she just kept getting more and more confident, especially after that Jerry Springer segment. And then at WrestleMania, she chips her teeth, she has this huge welt on her head, and yet she wins. She won. And then after that, she actually praises Charlotte like a true professional. "Oh yeah, that was a great match. Yeah, it got a little personal, but it was a great match, and I appreciate Charlotte." And I'll tell you this, maybe the crowd has not loved Tiffany as much as they love Io, and that does play a part, but I felt that Io was kind of like, she was kind of fighting for respect, but Tiffany was fighting for her life. Charlotte was going all in on her, and Tiffany, she could have gave up. She could have crawled into a corner and literally died and let Charlotte just eat her alive, and yet she came out looking strong. It was this last week on Smackdown, so it doesn't really count, but I could tell that there was a new confidence in Tiffany. She's not fully there yet. Overall, as like a character, I think that Io might be better, but for the month of April, I'm going to give it to Tiffany Stratton because she fought for her career, for her life. She came out on top, and she gained the respect of Charlotte, because if Charlotte didn't want to put her over, maybe Charlotte wouldn't have put her over, but Charlotte did. And she did something that I don't even think Becky Lynch ever did. She knocked Charlotte down a couple pegs, and Charlotte is the queen for a reason. And Tiffany was able to survive the gauntlet against the queen. So I gotta give it to Tiffany, but I was very, very close. Almost a coin toss again to Io Sky. Io Sky has nothing to be ashamed of. She looks amazing. She looks great. But like the circumstances around Tiffany, I had to give it to her. Sorry, Internet. Tiffany is your MVP. Now we go to the men's. Might as well make everybody mad. Cody, John Cena, and Roman Reigns, they're not your MVPs. It's going to go to Seth freaking Rollins. And honestly, if I was to consider who it could go to, like who would come in second, it'd probably be Paul Heyman. What? Paul Heyman? Yeah, a manager can qualify for this. And Paul Heyman is definitely a main event talent. Heck, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins all were fighting for Paul Heyman. But yeah, you could argue John Cena because, he won his 17th title, but the fact is that match was it was arguably the worst WrestleMania match of all time. Okay, maybe WrestleMania 2, King Kong Bundy versus Hulk Hogan, but if I have to go back 39 years to come up with a worse WrestleMania match, that's pretty telling. That's pretty telling. And I'm not really including the Yokozuna Hulk Hogan match either at WrestleMania 9. But that said, that was just a bad match. Whether it was on purpose or it wasn't, it doesn't matter. You can say that he succeeded then. If you want to say that John Cena purposely put on a bad match to ruin my time, mission accomplished, and you can have John as your MVP, but he's not going on my MVP list. Cody Rhodes was a victim of circumstance here. I think Cody Rhodes was just like, what do? I think he was caught in between a political power struggle of Triple H and butthurt The Rock. And so it's like, Cody, sorry, but you lost your title in a horrible match, and The Rock should have showed up. Then, so now we go to the other main event scene where it's Seth, Roman, and Punk. I think the thing that hurts Roman the most now is that Roman, well, he is a part-timer, and hey, he deserves his role or whatever, but the thing is that doesn't make for captivating TV when he can only show up for about 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 10 minutes per episode. They no longer do those segments with Roman Reigns. If you remember, during the Bloodline, Roman Reigns would have like 3 or 4 segments throughout a show, and I feel that really hurts his ability to really, I don't know, participate in feuds. Now that he's not surrounded by anybody, because he can't really have segments anymore because he doesn't have a bloodline to play off of, so it would just be him sitting there. There's no one for him to have a segment with, so he doesn't have any segments, so he only comes out every once in a while here and there to either Superman punch someone and throw up a 1 or get speared, and people to stand over him. So that sucks. I love Roman. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but I am saying it doesn't lend himself, unless he wins the feud. Usually he's not going to be the MVP, but it does allow him to put people over. I feel like whenever I don't just completely say that Roman's the best at everything, there's a section of the audience that is just like, wow, you suck, Chop. Like, Roman is the best at everything. How about I say Roman is the best at everything, but like, I just can't put him as the MVP. Does that satisfy you Roman people out there? But I do love Roman, and I acknowledge him as well. So if not Roman, then what about CM Punk? CM Punk did a lot to promote his main event spot. He cashed in his favor. He got Paul Heyman, but at the end of the day, it was Seth Rollins who orchestrated a coup on both Roman and CM Punk. He wins the main event when he was kind of the afterthought, but he won it in such a way that's so diabolical. And then the next night on Raw, he dominates and creates a new faction with him and Braun Breaker. Raw, like, are any more people going to join? He just got everyone talking. That's another part of being the MVP. You get people talking, and he got Braun Breaker, who was almost the MVP, and yeah, so like the future runs through Seth. He doesn't have a championship, and yet he's like the most talked about. Jey Uso wins the title, and he's like, yeah, in the arena, maybe he's the MVP, but when it comes to just the overall big picture, Seth Rollins is the one that we're all kind of looking at right now and being like, what's his next move? What's his play? What's his game here? So I gotta give it to Seth Rollins for everything he did leading into WrestleMania itself, and coming out WrestleMania just looking like now, like he's like Seth Rollins is now kind of like the final boss of WWE, the main villain after WrestleMania. So those are my MVPs of WWE for the month of April. We have some MVPs on this channel as well. There is a Patreon, and on the $15 tier, I have JD Albright, Jerry Jones, Keith Armstrong, and TTJC. I appreciate you. You are on the Gunther tier, which is the $15, the most expensive. There's also a 5 and a 10 if anybody is interested in supporting the channel, because quite honestly, ad revenue on YouTube doesn't make that much. It's going to be Patreon and sponsors that help me go full time. Although, please do watch a commercial here and there if you can't afford the Patreon. I appreciate the support, the engagement. Comment who you think is the MVP of the month of April. If you agree with me, disagree with me, or just have a whole new idea of someone who I should have listed, put in the comments below. You boys, you girls, have yourselves an MVP day. Does that make sense? Have yourself a most valuable player day? No, that doesn't make sense. Have yourselves a good day.